we're going to move into our next series of lessons, which is articulating the gospel. So the interesting thing about the gospel is that most people think that sharing the gospel is kind of like it's optional. But here's an interesting truth. You don't really believe the things you don't talk about. So there's an old saying that sometimes is attributed to St. Francis of Assisi, but truthfully, no one really knows. But it goes like this: share the gospel at all times, and sometimes use words. Well, whether St. Francis actually said that quote or not, one thing we do know: it doesn't work that way. There's no possible way for you to tell someone the good news without actually telling them. Now, I understand what the phrase means. It means that we should live out our lives and our Christian lives in such a way that people can see the love of Christ in our lives. That part I don't disagree with whatsoever. We absolutely should be doing it that way. But our lives should also be reflecting what we say. I'm going to actually tell you where the word gospel comes from. It's an old English word that literally means good news. And it comes from a Greek word, evangelion. And the evangelion is really the news that a king would send back to his home city to say they had won the war. So if they were out in the battlefield and the battle was going really well, he would send a messenger quickly back to the home city to say, we're winning the victory. It's time to celebrate. That's the good news. Now, if the king who was fighting that battle and the troops weren't doing so well and they were actually losing, he would send a different messenger back to the city to say, we're losing. You're going to have to defend yourselves. Get ready. So when the gospel writers in the New Testament use this word, evangelion, what they're saying is there's good news. The good news is Jesus won a victory, and that victory is ours. Go ahead and celebrate. That's the basis of the gospel. So, how do you tell people that this is a time of celebration and victory without saying it? It sounds a little odd, doesn't it? So the gospel always is accompanied by a proclamation, by words. At some point, you're going to have to say it, not just live it.